Bailando con fuego, la flor y el bosque, la naturaleza.
All right. Hello, everybody. Happy New Year. Welcome if you're joining us here live or if you're watching later in our recorded session. Welcome to our IPDAE Tech Tuesday webinar, Tech Tools for Tracking Language and Literacy. So as you come in and enter the space here, if you're joining us live, please say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. And just try to participate as much as possible. This is more enjoyable and helpful to everybody if we all can participate and engage. So let's move forward here. My name is Ramin Yazdanpana, also known as Dr. Yaz. My focus is really on helping fellow educators, you all, apply research-based strategies into your adult education programs to support your learners' learning, life, and professional goals. So everything that we explore here today connects directly to the needs of adult learners and really the work you do every day. That's my mission. I know that's IPDAE's mission as well. So these strategies are meant to be practical, flexible, and grounded in instructional design and adult learning theory. And just taking a quick glance over at the webinar chat, we have great folks from all over the place, from Tallahassee, Vero Beach, Hollywood, El Paso, Texas, right? So even outside of Florida. So welcome to you all. So before we begin, a quick reminder, please feel free to continue to use the chat box, okay? If you want, if you have any specific questions, you can also use the Q&A box for any questions. I'm gonna be asking you to engage as you are now in the chat. And just so you all know, everything is being recorded. And of course, today's presentation is being recorded and will be available on the IPDAE website within 48 hours. So you can view this afterwards. You can view the recording as well as have access to the slide deck after our presentation here today. Wow, Milwaukee. Hell, Milwaukee. Stay warm up there. I know if it's cold here in Florida, it's cold in Milwaukee and New York City. Okay, so the following are today's objectives. So we will explore AI and digital tools to track language and literacy growth. We're going to apply some tech tools that support, that are really designed to support learners' goals and context. Implement alternative assessments, explore some kind of options for that using portfolios and journals to show progress. Use feedback and reflection to highlight growth and address gaps. And of course, align tech-based tracking to improve instruction and support persistence. An important note, the strategies and tools presented today are designed for adult learners to be active, I'm going to say that again, active participants in planning, documenting, and analyzing their own learning. As you all probably know, right? Research shows that the most successful learners are those who are proactive in their learning and understand how to apply these metacognitive learning strategies. And what I mean by that is, awareness of one's own knowledge and skills and abilities, their own experiences in life and learning, their emotions around learning, right? The challenges they may have, the motivations they have in and outside of the classroom. So the greater awareness and intentionality, right, we have in explicitly applying these kinds of metacognitive strategies, these proactive learning strategies, the better. Okay, so that's good to create learner autonomy, to create these kind of learning skills, right, that are so critical for everybody. And hopefully it kind of takes a little bit of weight off of you, the educator, as being solely responsible for tracking and providing feedback and doing everything, okay, which is impossible, right? It's impossible for any one person. So just like that old story, right? If we can teach someone how to fish instead of fishing for them, they're going to be able to feed themselves and their families for a lifetime. So that same approach is going to be applied today. So as we analyze the examples today, keep your learners' learning goals, needs, your right, experiences in mind, as well as how you might be able to implement these strategies with your instruction to cultivate greater learner engagement in the classroom and outside of the classroom. Okay, so a quick overview of some of our topics. So we're going to discuss a rationale of how tech tools help. So that can either be some new information or just reinforce what you may already know. Analyze a cycle of data-informed instruction. Discuss iterative intelligence high to I cycle. So you might not know about this, but this is a useful framework to understand how to apply these kind of AI frameworks in an iterative, right, or interactive kind of way. Review the importance of cultivating learner autonomy. So I'll keep on reinforcing that throughout the presentation today. And practice using writing and speaking prompts to analyze, practice, track, and inform instruction and learning, right? So inform instruction, you all who might be instructors, and learning, right, for your learners themselves and their own learning. Okay, so let's look at this, how tech tools can help, a bit of rationale. So starting here with strengthens language awareness, right? So basically these kind of tech tools, some of the strategies that we're gonna review here today, that's the intention. It's going to bring awareness to certain aspects of language. So there is a hypothesis or a theory in second language acquisition. It's called the noticing hypothesis. So once we can kind of like bring learners' attention to certain aspects of the language that they're learning and really focus in on those specific aspects, the easier it is going to be for them to notice those aspects and to learn from them and to practice them, okay? And basically all of these kind of tools, some of the examples we're gonna see today are going to show how we can use them to assist with that strengthening of their language awareness. These kind of tools can boost motivation by making progress visible and measurable. So we're going to see how, more than ever, these tools can be used to really make the strengths and the gaps, right, in learning that much more clear and immediate. Now, some of you all might already be working with software that you use in your programs. That's fantastic, right? So that's already being done, and that licensing and software is already provided. We're going to kind of discuss the tools we're going to discuss today are going to be more those that are accessible and free, okay, to everyone out there. It can provide feedback in a lower stress environment, right? Whether that be in or outside of the classroom. Obviously, outside of the classroom can be a lower stress environment to experiment, to practice, to be kind of receive feedback and to kind of practice and re-practice, right? Reinforce certain things. And as we'll see today, applying some of these tech tools, some of these AI tools can provide that immediate feedback using this kind of iterative approach, applying these AI tools. And that also then leading to a greater ability and openness for human interaction and human-based feedback, right? So receiving and giving and understanding how to engage in feedback is a skill, just like anything else. And so that needs to be practiced. Typically, we don't have as much time in the classroom, right, to practice. So those skills need to be applied outside of the classroom, just like any other skill. Of course, these tools offer unlimited personalized practice anytime. So that can be at home, within their community, utilizing relatively low tech tools now, like a mobile phone, okay? You don't necessarily have to have a desktop. And as I mentioned before, it can provide this kind of more specific feedback on student identified issues. So this gets to this kind of proactive learning and learner autonomy, where students then aren't just, I don't want to say confined or restrained, but they're not just limited, right, to what they're doing in the classroom. That's not taking anything away from what we're doing in the classroom. But it's just, you all know, right? That's just not sufficient time, right? Oftentimes, our adult learners are going to classes for a limited amount of time, and just enough time to kind of to learn the minimum, right? We need them to practice that more extensively outside of the classroom. And as students kind of are engaged in the process and know how to engage in this process of learning and feedback and iteration, they can be more in command of their own learning. And then finally, it builds self-correction and revision skills. So moving beyond feedback, it then allows students to practice self-correction and to provide those kind of multiple drafts and multiple practice to reinforce these kind of skills that we all know are important for any skill-based learning, okay? Whether that be shooting hoops or learning a language or practicing, math formulations. Okay, so let's look at this cycle here of data-informed instruction. And so this is something that you all can share with your learners, as well as just kind of understanding this virtuous cycle of learning, as I like to refer to it, right? And it shows that having this as like this kind of process-oriented cycle, right, approach, is that instruction and learning is not linear, okay? It's not about just like what you know now and what you're gonna learn later, and then it's just kind of a straight line. But it's more of this process-oriented approach that is informed by these different dimensions of learning. So let's look at these. So we'll start here with analyze, okay? So let's say that we're utilizing examples to analyze, right, for patterns, structure, style. It could be a model example. It could be even an example that is level appropriate. So it's not perfect, okay? It has errors. And then that allows students to kind of like analyze it for both what is being done well and what could be improved, okay? So analyzing either student-generated examples or AI generated examples, and then having a discussion, right? So this also cultivates editing skills, okay? By looking at those different examples for patterns, structure, and style. It also starts to build schema, right? Schema is this kind of understanding, this background knowledge. You can build that schema, you can activate that schema to draw on what learners already know, what they don't know, and that just kind of prepares the mind. It's like a warm-up, okay, for what's to come. Also helps with our explanation of what the expectations are. Oftentimes, verbal communication is limiting, right? So we should pair that with actual examples that we can analyze. And then practice, right? Practicing activities that are aligned with level goals and needs. So the reality is that we often have multi-level classrooms. So understanding how to provide activities that are aligned with those different multi-levels, align with students' goals, right? Whether they be life goals or workplace goals, and really even their specific needs, okay? So this is where the practice kind of comes in. And then feedback, right? Providing feedback, whether that be feedback that's coming from instructors, whether it's self-feedback, whether it's peer feedback, whether it's AI-supported feedback or just technology-supported feedback on language use, strengths, and weaknesses. So engaging in that feedback. And then continued practice, right? Continue practice to improve errors, to reinforce learning, to repeat, right, what was practiced. So repetitive practice. So often we work so hard at generating a great lesson plan and activity, and we just get through it, and we move on to the next thing, when really there's more juice to squeeze, right, from that. And this is where this repetition can come in, allows learners to learn from the feedback, right, learn from their beautiful mistakes, as I call them, and to even build confidence, right? Because now they understand what the expectations are. They've done it already a few times, and they can apply the feedback directly to make improvements, okay? So we're reinforcing this understanding of the importance of repetition, okay, and practice. Just like if you were gonna write several drafts of something, okay? That's anytime we wanna produce something quality and improve, it takes repetition, it takes rehearsal, all right? It takes feedback. And then we engage in this reflection, right? To reflect, to set goals and increase complexity. So we can take a moment to get feedback from students, to engage students in reflection, to give themselves feedback, to set goals for what they want to learn next, to recognize what they have learned, okay, and how they're improving, right? So that's part of that tracking there is this kind of journal reflection. So, what was learned, what needs to be kind of still maybe is fuzzy, right? And not clear, any kind of questions, and what could be goals moving forward. Okay, I'm just going to pause for 1 second and just see if there are any questions on anything or any comments that you all have. Feel free to add them in the chat, please. Okay, great. And we'll have time for Q&A later as well. Okay, so what we see here is a framework for how we can approach using AI while continuing to develop human learning and interaction. So I call this iterative intelligence, the high to I cycle. So this high to I cycle is a way to kind of conceptualize the emerging role of how to integrate AI as an assistive technology, right? Not as something that replaces our ability to think, to problem solve, and to engage with each other. We can understand this as almost like an extension of the Socratic method, right? And the Socratic method is, of course, one of the earliest formalized approaches to education that really relies on this iterative questioning to stimulate critical thinking by engaging in back and forth dialogue to guide learners through layers of thought, right? Helping them to clarify and refine their ideas through questioning, through feedback, real time. So this serves, again, as an extension and not a replacement of that process learning that we discussed before. So let's look at this high to I cycle of iteration. So we have human intelligence, right? And so if you all have, well, I know you all have, right? You all have engaged in kind of this internal dialogue. When we're trying to problem solve, when we're planning for something, we engage in inner kind of cognition, right? We're applying our intelligence, our skills, our knowledge to that thing, right? To whatever we're trying to do. So this is like this individual learning process. And that translates to students doing things independently, right? Maybe after things have been modeled for them, they attempt to do their best to accomplish a task, right? Or an activity. And then we have that human interaction. And this is where this like interactive learning takes place. So it's sharing that kind of work, right? So this can be teacher to student, student to student. So this is where this human interaction comes into play. So for example, if we're preparing an email, for example, right? We do our best after we analyze some sample emails. We attempt to write, let's say, an email ourselves. We share that, right, with a teacher, with our peers to get feedback, to analyze that for feedback. And now this is where this assistive intelligence or artificial intelligence, as it's normally called, to engage with using these tools through prompts to get feedback and to refine learning, right? So this is where we can utilize these tools in the classroom, but especially outside of the classroom to provide that kind of feedback, that live feedback, individualized feedback that has really until, recently been hard to come by, right? Unless you can go to some one-on-one tutoring, but even then that can be limiting, right? Or limited, right? In the access. Then from this assistive intelligence, you have assistive interaction. So this is question posing, refinement, and production. And this is where we take that feedback and we apply it to improving, right? So this is a bit different here from just getting some kind of chat bot to produce something for us, right? It's this kind of more intentional approach to where we understand the importance and the utility of applying human intelligence and human interaction before engaging in an AI use. And those of us, we know, especially if you have experience with working with AI tools, the more information that we can provide, the more specific details that we can provide, the better quality output, okay, and interaction we're going to have. So this is just kind of best practice in working with AI as well. So I encourage you to share this cycle, right? This model here with your students, discuss it with them, and practice it with them. And so we're going to be applying this this high to eye cycle with some examples here shortly. Oops. And again, if you have any questions, I'm always looking here at the webinar chat. You're welcome to share any comments or questions in the chat. So, okay, before we jump into the examples I just presented, let's review how we can apply this, right? Again, just to reinforce these. Where the goal is to cultivate learner autonomy, right? We have to address the insufficient time in the classroom. Our goal is to develop strategy-based learning and metacognition. Again, that's the awareness and reflection of one's own knowledge, ability, learning experiences, and emotions when learning. To reinforce skills and strategies outside of the classroom, to build learner confidence, and to develop digital literacy. Okay, so that's our intention here for this, applying this approach. Do you agree? Do you agree with those things? Let me know in the chat, yes or no. Do you feel like those are aspects that you like to help to reinforce and develop with your adult students? Oh, thank you, Frida. Let me know in the chat. Absolutely, Lauren. Yes. Okay, good. All right. So Nikki, I like the exclamation point. I appreciate that. Okay. So yes, of course. Right. So again, like all of this, our learners are adults. They get this stuff, right? They understand the importance of developing the skills and the abilities to learn. My experience with adults, learners, is that they come from all different kinds of backgrounds and experiences. Some are very highly educated, okay? Some haven't had as much formal schooling, but they're still highly educated from the school of life, okay? So where they have cultivated this understanding of the needs to learn skills, how to learn things, okay? So they come with that awareness of the importance of applying these kinds of approaches, and the need, especially as the pace of using these kind of digital tools is accelerating, both for themselves and for their families and communities, right? So, and the importance of understanding how to understand these tools and how to best apply them, okay? Okay, so let's look at some examples for writing. So analysis, prompts, practice, and tracking to inform instruction. So a quick poll. How often do you currently use technology with learners to draft writing, to share writing, and to analyze and track improvement with writing? So my good friend and colleague, Joseph, is gonna launch a poll here, and you're gonna have the opportunity to answer the poll, and we're going to see what we're at. Thank you, Joseph. So again, how often do you currently use technology with learners to draft writing, to share writing, to analyze and track improvement in writing? So frequently, occasionally, rarely, or never. This is anonymous, okay? So no worries here, just answer honestly, and we'll just give it a few more moments here for you to answer. Let's go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's close it out. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so Um, Great. So we have frequently 38%, occasionally 35%, rarely 12%, and never 15%. So a fairly good spread. Okay. So great. Thank you for your feedback there. So no matter how much you're using it, I hope the following examples are going to kind of give you additional ideas. If you're occasionally, rarely, or never use kind of technology, maybe these can be some approaches that you can implement that again are free and accessible to both you and your learners. Thank you for your participation in that poll. Okay, so some writing tasks. So we're going to look at some tools here. The tools we're going to apply are AI analysis prompts for analysis, right? We looked at getting back to that virtuous cycle of learning, so that analysis section for self-correction and for tracking, right? So that again is applying that virtuous cycle of learning. And some task examples. So some task examples, these are just some examples here that may be relevant to your learners, or emailing an employer or supervisor, coming up with an incident report, coming up with a customer follow-up summary, anything, those task examples, those are really going to be based on the needs of your learners. So you're going to know better than anyone as you conduct needs analyses and understand the needs realities of your students, what these examples are going to be, right? So you can always change the examples. The purpose here is to kind of provide a framework and some examples that you can then modify. Okay, so again, as I mentioned before, these prompts here that we're going to look at, they can be modified to match your students' specific learning objectives. And anything that's kind of in bold or in brackets here, you can see that can be replaced or modified. But what these prompts are basically directions that we can insert into an AI tool such as ChatGPT, Claude AI, Gemini, anything that you're kind of working with. Okay, all of these tools are excellent to provide, in this case, to provide a prompt for a writing analysis. Okay, so to provide something that you and your students can analyze together, right? Like a model example. So let me read this out, and then we'll kind of discuss here a little bit about how the utility of using these kinds of prompts to generate a model example to analyze. So here it is, right? So I'm a beginner English learner. Again, you can replace that with multi-level, English learner, or intermediate level English learner, or whatever you want to say. I want to practice a fill in the blank, a workplace email. Please make a short, simple email from an employee to a supervisor about this situation. Again, you can change that situation there. Okay, say your situation: I am late, I have a problem, a customer complained, I need help. After you show me the email, please help me with one thing. Okay, and then you can kind of focus on. It could be more than one thing, but I think that it's beneficial to repeat the process and while focusing on one thing rather than focusing on too many things. That helps with the noticing, right? And focusing in on something specific, right? That just kind of helps to not overload the learner with trying to focus on too many things at one time. And again, you can always repeat this process to focus on other things, right? If you want to focus on clarity or vocabulary or organization. And then the prompt continues here. Please tell me what the email does well, one thing that can be better, one easy tip to help me improve my email, a short example to help me understand. Okay. And so, let's see here. Let me see here. So actually I'm going to have to, give me 1 second here. I'm going to have to kind of copy this. Let me get back here to sharing. Okay, thanks for your patience. All right, Okay, here we go. So I needed just to do that, just to copy and paste. So I'm using ChatGPT here. Okay, so this is just a new prompt. Okay, and I'm putting this prompt here, right? And that I just read here, right? I copy and pasted this prompt into here. And so I'm going to modify the situation where I'm gonna say a customer or let's say I'm late. Okay, that happens. So I'm just going to pick one situation here. After you show me the email, please help me with one thing, right? And let's go with organization. Okay, then it says, please tell me what the email does well, one thing that can be better, one easy step to help me improve. All right, so you can close this with quotes, and then let's see what's generated here. So here we are. Okay, so this is providing a sample example that you can study and practice. Just a way to kind of generate a short, simple sample email that you can analyze together in the classroom. Okay, and then it has these follow-up, right, analysis. What the email does well, it is clear and polite. It explains the reason for writing, gives an estimated arrival time, and is well organized. So we're starting to break down and analyze, right, what makes this a good example. But like with any example, what could be improved? Okay, one thing that can be better, you can add a brief reason for being late. For example, traffic, an appointment, given that kind of rationale, that reason. One easy tip to improve your email: use 3 short parts. While you're writing, important detail, time and reason, a polite closing. And it says, if you want, next we can practice your writing the email and I'll give you feedback step by step. So you can see now you kind of have a personalized tutor that can provide feedback, okay, on that as they practice their own response. So my suggestion is that if you can, as a class, you practice this, you demonstrate how to do this, just as I'm demonstrating this with you right now, and you have students practice, okay? And you can help them by providing these kind of sentence stem prompts, okay, and having them manipulate it, okay, to be more appropriate for initially what you want them, right, to focus on, and then what they want to focus on. So you can see that we're providing this analysis here, this practice, and understanding these prompts, and then we're building learner autonomy for students to develop and apply them on their own, and then they're able to start to engage in this feedback and start to kind of track, right, to practice writing the email and getting feedback, okay, to then document that feedback and potentially share it, either document it for themselves and then share it in the next class or at the specific time to kind of provide some accountability, right, for engaging in this kind of homework task. Okay, so here's a prompt for student self-correction. So this is the rationale for this is really it's building this kind of self-correction skills, and it avoids AI from rewriting their work, right? Promoting editing awareness. So supports workplace readiness, in this case by focusing on tone, clarity, organization, and professionalism. So let's analyze this prompt here. So I'm a beginner English learner. I wrote an email to my supervisor. Please help me to find my grammar mistakes, but do not fix them for me. Okay, here's my email, all right? And so I have a sample email here, okay, from a beginner level with common errors. So subject is late today. Hello, boss. I late today because bus is late. I come work about 20 minutes late. Sorry for problem. Thank you from Maria. Okay, so that's an example here. And so what I'm going to do here is, again, excuse my having to click out of here, but I have to put this prompt, okay, here. And then, okay, I'm going to copy this here. All right. Okay, and then I'm going to take this email. So this is the email. Remember, it says paste your email here. So I'm going to do that here. Okay. So again, let me come here. So I'm a beginner English learner. I wrote an email. Please help me find my grammar mistakes. Do not fix them for me. Here's my email. Okay, paste in there. Show me the sentence with mistakes. Tell me what type of mistake it is. Explain the mistake in very simple English so I can fix it myself. And then could you provide a simple example, not my sentence, to help me understand the rule? Tell me if my email sounds polite for the workplace. So let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's analyze this. So sentence with mistakes and explanations. So now this is providing, some feedback here, sentence by sentence, right? I late today because bus is late. Type of mistake, missing word, all right? Verb, missing article, the. So now we're reinforcing some linguistic understanding of the language and of grammar. Very simple explanation. In English, a sentence needs a verb. Here you need a verb like am. We usually say the bus, not just bus. Okay, simple example, not your sentence. She tired today. She is tired today, right? So this is guiding students in understanding what their errors are and how to engage in self-correction. I come about 20 minutes late. So again, type of mistake, very simple explanation, simple example, okay? And then so on and so forth, right? Does your email sound polite for the workplace? Yes, it sounds polite. You say sorry, you explain the situation, you thank the supervisor, okay? And then it says here, if you want next, you can try fixing it yourself, and I'll check again without rewriting it for you. So now it's prompting the learner to apply that feedback to another draft of this email. Again, this is something that we can model, we can practice in class, okay? Students usually have a smartphone. They can log in to whatever AI tool that you're using to practice this in class. And then you can assign them an activity to practice outside of class on their own. Next time they come back, okay, you can have them to share, right? What they learned, okay, what beautiful mistakes, what errors they made, what they learned, and then share their kind of final draft with greater confidence, okay, a product that they can share. And now we're engaging in this kind of proactive language learning behavior, okay, day in and day out. This builds confidence, it builds motivation, it builds confidence that they know how to utilize and leverage these tools towards meeting their needs, all right? So let's get back here. Let me get back to presenter view. Thanks, Lauren. I'm glad you're finding this useful. Okay, so let's keep rolling here. So here's just a document here. I'm going to post, copy this. This is a link to a document on error writing, on writing correction symbols for grammar. You can access that verse via that link and make a copy, okay, for yourself. Thank you, Harold. Harold is sharing some prompts as well. Awesome, Harold. Thank you so much. So this is something that I love that. This is something that you can share with students to start to understand like what these different kind of feedback that is common. You can upload this kind of document, into the chatbot tool that you're using to utilize these kind of symbols, or to focus in specifically. You can get more specific and detailed and say, just focus in on certain errors, right? You can focus in on article use or verb tense use. Whatever the focus is, you can get more detailed, right? So these kind of prompts that we are looking at, can be modified. They should be modified, right? They should be manipulated. That's part of the practice. That's part of the iteration, okay? And that's part of, like, again, engaging in this human interaction and practice in order to improve, right? This AI, this assistive interaction, right? Using these AI kind of tools. All right. Okay, here's another prompt for tracking improvement. I'm an intermediate English language learner. I have 2 drafts of my writing. Could you please help me understand how draft 2 is an improvement? Do not fix my writing. I want to learn what I improved. So you can, students, okay, but as you are demonstrating this for your students, they can paste draft 1 there, then paste draft 2. Show me the parts where draft 2 is better. Example, clear sentence, better word, more polite. Or it can just be 2 different writings, right? It can be a model example and then, something that your learners wrote. So just trying to compare and contrast and understand, in this case, comparing drafts, how they're improving, right? What areas had they improved in? So this is really kind of helping students to get that individualized feedback, to see how they are improving, right? That's hard to track a lot of times, okay? But now with these kind of tools, it's easier than ever, and students can apply them to understand and then to report how they're improving. Of course, we can utilize these tools as well if we want to track for learners and for our documentation on how learners are improving. But this is something that, again, beyond that, it's so important that learners understand how they can apply these tools themselves, right? So show me the parts where draft 2 is better. Explain the improvements in very simple English so I can understand. Tell me 1 to 2 things I still need to work on. Do not correct the sentences. Or if you want, right, they can say, yes, correct the sentences. It's up to you and it's up to the learners. Tell me 1 thing I did well in draft 2. Give me 1 easy question I can ask myself next time I revise, okay? So again, just another kind of prompt to engage learners in the editing process and in the understanding of how they're tracking their improvements as they go along. You can provide something like this to learners. This is like an error log. Again, I call them beautiful mistakes because I want learners to understand that making errors, making mistakes is a critical aspect of learning. It's not something that they should feel bad about. I know it's hard to get over that. I still know all this stuff, and I feel when I'm practicing, I'm like, oh, you get that feeling like, oh, I made a mistake. But not to take it so personally, and understand that engaging in that process of learning and making that mistake is an opportunity to learn. Okay, so this is a way that you can enable students to track their own kind of beautiful mistakes, right? Their own errors, proudly share those beautiful mistakes, okay, with each other. Because once we start to engage and share with each other, we can start learning from each other, right? My beautiful mistakes may be different from yours. And as we share them, I'm reinforcing my learning, and I'm also kind of learning from your learning. This is the human interaction here, okay? So again, getting back to that high to eye cycle, okay, of how this is a process-oriented approach. We're utilizing this assistive technologies to assist our learning, not to replace, okay? So again, just a simple error log that they can see, okay, prepositions, I'm making more kind of errors with prepositions. I probably need some follow-up instruction and practice with those. That's really helpful information for teachers as well as learners to understand what are the areas of, in this case, grammar that need to be reinforced and reviewed. I'm just looking here. I see a question. Okay, so a good question here from Mehdi. A good question here. So it says, I'm teaching GED level writing in a correctional setting where my students do not have internet access. Is there software available that allows me to scan their writing and use AI to edit for me? So great question. I would say that, a lot of times, if you can collect their writing, you can then bring that writing home, okay, where you have access, or if you have access somewhere in the correctional facility where there's internet access, what you can actually do is, I actually put my phone in the other room, but you can take a picture of that writing, upload it to something like, ChatGPT, and ask it then to scan their writing for editing, right? And then you can say, hey, please use, the following writing correction symbols, okay, if that's a tool that you want to use. And then that is a way to really utilize these kind of tools to help assist with providing, right, with analyzing and providing these kind of error correction symbols. And I always say, like, try to train your learners on being familiar what these writing correction symbols are, so they can practice in self-correction. They won't always be able to get it. Oftentimes what my process is I have them try it. They have this like cheat sheet here, these writing correction symbols to remind them. And then they can work with a peer, okay, if they weren't able to make that correction. And then that allows us as teachers to go around and work with groups and answer questions and make sure that they've self-corrected appropriately. Okay, and then the follow-up instruction can be, what were the main kind of errors that you saw patterns of that students are having? This can inform our follow-up instruction. Okay, all right, great questions here. And remember that this presentation is being recorded, and the slides are going to be made available to you, okay, as well as these prompts. All right, thanks for the Q&A questions. Okay, again, let's reinforce the rationale, right? So this approach, this high-to-eye cycle, supports noticing, right? A key driver of language acquisition, noticing what is being done correctly, what are some gaps still in ability. Builds self-correction and revision skills, encourages metacognition and learner reflection, so that these learning strategies, our emotions, our experiences, our skills and abilities, having a clear awareness of those and how we can continue to develop them. It strengthens grammar awareness without over-reliance on AI rewriting, provides immediate specific feedback on student-identified issues, and can boost motivation and confidence by making progress visible, measurable, and again, immediate. And some follow-up instruction, as I mentioned before, review analysis of learner drafts, make a note of common errors among students, present these mini lessons that focus on specific skills, whether it be grammar or a vocabulary, or organization, or tone, that really can help to guide our instruction to make it more focused on meeting the needs of learners. Provide follow-up exercises for students to focus on that specific skill. So, if you're in a correctional environment, for example, what paper-based kind of activities can you have students focus on to kind of get reps in, right? To practice, to reinforce that learning in that area, okay? And then assign a similar task. So before kind of moving on, build competency around that task, around that activity. So before moving on to something completely new, allow several kind of attempts, right? Several different days in class where it's practicing that same kind of activity, so students can build familiarity, clarity, and confidence, okay, in their ability to do this. Okay, so let's look at this speaking task analysis, practice, and tracking. So in the chat, please type yes or no to the following. I've had a voice conversation with ChatGPT or another AI tool. Yes or no, or Y or N. Please let me know it. All right, so just looking at this, it's kind of 50-50, right? So that's great. All right, so let's analyze some of these here. So excellent, thanks for that feedback, everybody. So again, some speaking tasks, the tools that we're gonna use here, like transcripts, ChatGPT voice, some task examples here, can be workplace dialogues, task-based interactions, scenario-based problem solving, pronunciation and fluency drills, receiving gentle corrections in real time. So here's an analysis, right? Prompt, right? Please create a short workplace dialogue using appropriate for beginner level English learner between a customer and employee. The customer should ask a question or make a complaint. The employee should respond. After you show me the dialogue, please help me analyze one skill. I want to focus on this skill. So you can choose one of these skills. Please tell me what the employee did well in that skill, what could be improved, 1 to 2 simple steps, okay, in this. So again, excuse my share here, but I'm gonna copy this and bring this here, okay? And we're gonna do the same thing. Let's focus on clarity. All right. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here it is. Here's a sample script, okay, workplace dialogue. Okay, so super short. Of course, you can make this more lengthy. But customer, excuse me, my order is late. I've been waiting a long time. Employee, I'm sorry about that. Let me check your order. What is your order number? Okay, so what the employee did well, what could be improved, simple tips for clarity, and then some examples, right? And if you would like, we can practice together and you can be the employee. So here we can just like practice in text, right? So you can say, yes, right? Let's practice, okay? For example. Okay, so you can see how then the learner can engage and practice. In this case with writing, even if the speaking is the goal, I found that writing can really help to just slow down the language and practice these kind of skills and then transition over to speaking, okay? And so what we're gonna do now is I'm gonna go back to this here, and we're gonna just kind of practice here speaking, okay? So to engage in this dialogue practice. So I'm going to practice this here, okay? This dialogue practice, and then we're gonna see what happens here, okay? So let's try this here. Okay, so we're gonna use voice mode. Hello, can you hear me?
Absolutely, I can hear you loud and clear. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and jump in with your employee response.
Great, thanks. Actually, I want to do some dialogue practice. So I'm a beginner level ESL student. Let's practice a workplace conversation where you're the customer, I'm the employee. Give me one customer question or complaint at a time. And after I answer, please tell me if my answer was clear, if my tone was polite, one thing I did well, one small thing I can improve. And let's begin when you're ready. Also, please, when you give me feedback, please make it simple and slow.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in and keep it nice and simple. I'll be the customer and I'll start with a question or a complaint. Once you respond, I'll give you some simple feedback on clarity, tone, and one little improvement. So here we go, and I'll keep it nice and slow. Customer, hi there. I ordered a product 2 weeks ago and it still hasn't arrived. Can you help me find out where it is?
I think so. What is your problem?
All right, great job jumping in. Let me give you some quick feedback on clarity. So first of all, you did a nice job responding right away. That's a good thing. In terms of clarity, one thing you did well was you kept your sentence short and simple. That's always helpful for a beginner. Now, one small improvement, instead of asking, what is your problem, which can sound a little bit too direct, you can say something like, how can I help you with that? That just makes it a little gentler. So here's a simple tip. When you respond to a customer, use a phrase like, how can I help you with that, to keep things clear and polite. Let's keep going.
Okay, so I'm going to end here just so you can show you that even though that was audio, all of that has been transcribed, okay? And the voice chat is here as well. Actually, I don't know if you can re-listen to that or not, but you can see that it's transcribed here for easier kind of analysis. So students can kind of read this and then of course practice again as many times as they want. Again, my suggestion is to practice this, model this with students, have them practice it. You know, it can be with partners or individually as a class, having someone come up and model it and practice with everybody, and then assign it as a homework, and then have students share. Okay, come back and share what they have learned. And here's some ways that you can do that. You can do this with this like self or peer analysis, using a checklist, right? Some things that they did well. Also some reflection on one thing that they did well and one thing that they want to improve. And then you can also have them use this kind of reflection, right? What I did, what I learned, any questions that I have, right? So that's a way for you for them to kind of keep track of what they're learning and to share in class any kind of questions or anything that they learned. Okay, so really quickly, I just wanted to kind of go over here the importance, okay, the importance of asking students to create a study schedule, right? This is just a sample study schedule, but you can ask them, every day, what is the 20 minutes that they can spend on, and what specifically in that time do they want to work on? Okay, so this is an example that you can utilize and share as a model example, but getting students to think about when in their day and what during their day they can focus on outside of class. And that can be by applying some of these methods, right, and these tools that they can apply for practice and for feedback. One tool here that I also like to share with you, I'm going to put it in the chat. And this is a schedule maker, okay? And the schedule maker is really useful for students to understand what their day is and when during their day they can plan for study. I'll just show you an example, and you can see here that this is everything, okay, that I do in a day typically. But you can see here that the best time for me to study and learn is during this time. So having students kind of engage in this schedule maker, and this is useful for us too, right? When can we engage in our own professional development can be helpful in getting them to kind of make the time, right? We know that if it's not planned, if it's not scheduled, it typically does not get done. So you can share this schedule maker and potentially use it as an activity in the class to really plan for when self-study can be done outside of the classroom. Okay, everybody, so those are my references. Again, any questions, you're welcome to ask either in the Q&A or in the chat. I just want to thank you all so much for your presence. I can feel you there, even though I can't see you. I appreciate your interactions in the chat, and I really just commend you, right, for engaging in your professional growth and learning and just being part of this community where we're all supporting each other along the way. Okay, so if you could please give IPDAE your feedback. Thank you for those kind comments in the chat. Just to let you all know, while you're giving IPDAE your feedback, there's going to be a webinar Wednesday, tomorrow, at 3 o'clock, Busting the Myths, Making IET Work in Any Classroom. All right, I love that. Okay, so that's tomorrow at 3 p.m. To register, go to the IPDAE website. Thank you all so much for the love in the chat. Thank you so much. Just looking at the Q&A. Maria, it is okay if you join late. Again, the presentation will be available. The recording of the presentation will be available on the IPDAE website along with the slide deck. Okay, so please share this presentation with your colleagues, with those that you think I can support in their professional learning as well.